Hello, my name is Devin Shea. I'm a 20-year experienced junior architect and AEC professional. I am a BIM expert, implementation specialist, and Revit consultant. I have worked on Revit projects in over 30 different disciplines, 5 countries, 15 states, and I've worked on Revit projects in every occupancy type. As a trainer and consultant, I have taught at 7 schools and 5 Autodesk training centers. I have taught over 2,000 professionals in Revit in 2 countries and 15 states. I have been teaching engineers, architects, and artists how to draw for over 20 years. Feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube and enjoy the videos.
Welcome to my first installation of my new series for residential wood frame construction. You can find all of my tutorials under blog, video repository, and I will have all of my tutorials listed where they belong. So our first installation will be architectural design with Revit. And in this tutorial, we will learn how to use the architectural system families. We're going to be reproducing a building that I designed for a client, and the files are located here. So you'll need the sample files and the drawings to access. With that being said, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is create our walls. You always want to start with your walls because all of the horizontal system families all follow the walls. So I'm going to go up here to the architecture tab, click wall, and in the file I have a wall 4-inch as a generic. So first we're going to design this like it's schematic design, and then after that we're going to go into a little more detail like you would in design development. But the first thing we're going to do is build some walls. So I'm going to select my 4-inch wall. I'm going to go up here to the ribbon where you can use any of these shapes or a line. We're going to do a rectangle, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on main floor plan. And I'm just going to drag out a rectangle. So the building is 17 by 42 feet, and we can select one of these walls to pull up our running dimensions or our temporary dimensions. I'm just going to type 17, hit enter. Next I'm going to do the same for 42 feet. Zoom extents, ZE. Take a look at that in 3D. So in Revit, everything, if you start drawing on a level, it will automatically be placed at that base point. So main floor, you can use unconnected or connect them to levels, and we will see a couple different examples of that. So we can just leave this unconnected for now, give it a height of 9 feet. The nice thing about attaching this to a level is whenever you change the height for your top level, the walls go with. You'll notice that these other ones were not attached, so I'm just going to undo that. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is add a floor. So I'm going to go back to the main floor plan. I'm going to go to the architecture tab, select floor, and I also have a generic floor for this 12-inch floor. So what I want to do here, when you're creating the horizontal system families, roofs, ceilings, floors, you want to use this button, pick walls. You can also use any other normal drawing methods here, but if you go for the pick by wall, what this is going to do is automatically adhere to the structural layer within the wall. So I'm going to create those. I'm going to hit check for good. And this floor is located at level main floor, height offset 0. So therefore the top of the floor will be 0, 0. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a roof. So if I go to roof floor plan, you will see that we cannot see anything. In Revit, each element has to pass through the datum. So if it's touching, that doesn't count, but only items that are going through the datum will be seen in roof view or top view. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to main floor. I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to do a roof by footprint. Again, I'm going to use my pick by wall method. With a roof, you have the option of an overhang. So as I am selecting the wall, you will see the dashed line which indicates which way the overhang is going. So I'm going to pick this. There we go. So in a roof, it has a default of a defined slope. So these boundary lines here, if you see this icon, that means that they have a slope to them. So I'm going to hit go. Would I like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? So you want to be careful whenever Revit is asking you to do something. I always go for don't attach when I am quickly modeling something, because whenever these walls get attached to the roof, you will always have little warnings popping up if you manipulate things. So notice how I drew that on the main floor, because when I drew it, I was on the main floor, so it goes to main floor level. So I'm going to change this to the roof level, like so. Alright, so the next item of business is we are going to do a door and a window. The standard default Revit file name is RVT, which indicates that it's a Revit file. You see that up here. A family is an RFA, and there are separate file types. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for doors and windows. So families all have a hosting condition, which basically means that they have to interact with other system family elements. So a door, for instance, is a wall hosted item. So I'm going to activate the door. In my properties, I can select whichever door that I want. I uploaded my file, and I'm just going to hover my mouse above the wall until the door looks like it's going to host to that. Also, my temporary dimensions will show up, just kind of give me an idea of where that's going to go. So I can kind of use those as a guide, or I can just drop it. Once you place the door, it will show you the temporary dimensions, in which you can then click them and change their dimension. The temporary dimensions are very nice, but they always have a center justification, and we'll see in a minute why that can be limiting. So we have the door. Next one we're going to do is a window. So with families, you have an instance and a type. So right now I am putting down a type of window. It's a window fixed, and you can even see that it wants me to edit the type over here. So with anything, I can drop down this box and I can see what is currently in the project. So what I'm going to do here is actually put some windows over here. So I'm just going to click couple of windows, one on the side. You can also determine what is the sill height or the head height. In Revit, it defaults by sill height, so this number here indicates the bottom of the window. So I'm just going to type in 3 feet for that, and again I can move these windows using my temporary dimensions. Alright, so let's go to the main floor plan. So in the main floor plan, I can see where the door is cutting a hole, where the door is located. If I select the door, again, I can see the temporary dimensions. Doors have directional toggles here, so I can click these little toggles and flip around the side of the door that I want it to be located on. Windows can't really flip unless you want to flip the window inside out. So essentially the window will have an outside sill or an inside sill, so you have to know which one is the correct way to place that one. Next thing we're going to do is, you want to do this early on. I'm going to go up here to the architecture tab and I'm going to go to room. So what a room is, it's essentially like the area object for AutoCAD. What it does is it searches for closed spaces and it creates a room object which does many things. In our SD scenario, we're just using it for a quick square footage calculation, just so we can kind of see what is that number. So if I come down here and grab a wall and move it, for instance, you'll see the square footage updating. So as you're going through your laying out of spaces and whatnot, you always want to put these room objects in there because it just helps you program spaces. So also with the room object, which happens to be this little X thing, in your properties over here, you will see a room name and a room number. And number 100, whatever. Okay, sure. Okay, so living room, 100 square feet. Very good. So now we've done some basic stuff. So this is all sort of generic walls and floors and the simplest windows and doors that I could find. So in the drawings provided, we can see a basic layout of the doors and the windows. I'm going to see, hopefully I left this door in here. I have a big sliding glass door outside, so it looks like I do have one. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this door in here, which is a giant sliding, 4-panel sliding door. Throw that in there. And then I'm just going to look at the drawings here and locate some more windows. To create more windows or doors or any object, you can click the object and you can right click and you can say create similar. So basically that will go into creation mode with the same exact type selected. So I'm going to go in here, just plot down that window. When you're sort of just laying things out, you don't have to be super accurate, just sort of throwing all the components in there, and then we're going to put down some dimension lines and be a little clearer in our measurements. Okay, so if you look at the drawings, this roof is not a gable roof. So what we're going to do here is we're going to edit the footprint here, and just to show you how these slope items work here, if I click one of these, you'll see that that is the slope for each line. So if I want to click these two, I can then go up here and uncheck the box define slope, and then I'll hit done. I'm going to hit don't attach for a moment. Okay, so now you can see that the roof is only sloping in 2 directions. Okay, so this question Revit keeps asking me here: would you like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? So if I say attach, it will automatically attach for me, and just be careful when Revit is doing things for you. I don't like to let Revit do that. So what this means, attach, if I select this wall and I go up here to my ribbon and I hit attach top base and click the roof, then it will be attached. So what this means is if I select this roof and let's say I change the slope, here, attach. So this wall will automatically be attached to it. There is another way to manually do this. If I grab the wall and hit edit profile, I can then go in and manually trim the wall to make it be attached. But then if I go in and change the shape or the slope, okay, then what's going to happen is you see that since it was custom, it did not follow the pitch, where this one did. So what I'm going to do is select this, I'm going to hit reset profile, and then I'm going to select this wall and hit attach top base, attach it. So what that did was I just manually attached the wall. So whatever edits I make with the roof will follow. Okay, so if you look at the drawings, this roof is actually a sort of inverse butterfly roof, if you will. So what I'm going to do here is grab one of these and I'm going to take off the slope. So you can see how this wall is not attached, so it didn't go with. Okay, and then the slope of this guy is 1.5 inches. Oops. 1.5. Okay, so that is the slope. However, this roof is sort of a butterfly roof, if you want to call it that. So I'm just going to scoot this back here. Attach my 3D view. Okay, so this actually is the slope's going in the wrong way, so I'm just going to attach the slope there. I'll attach the slope here, and don't attach. You can hit the button, don't ask me this again, but I like to leave it on. Okay, so this theoretically would be the back side of the roof. So what I'm going to do here is, okay, so essentially this is mirrored, this roof. So I'm going to do roof. Alright, so I'm on the roof plan now, and as I said earlier, the walls won't show up unless they're passing through the datum or the level. However, Revit has this lovely thing called underlay. So I'm going to go into properties and I'm going to look down. So what this means is I am looking down at the floors from the roof, and you'll notice it is gray to suggest that these are the things on the main floor and these are things on the roof. Okay. So what I'm going to do is grab this and I'm going to hit mirror. There we go. So now I will have sort of the basic shape of the roof, and now I'm going to grab this, hit edit footprint, and drag it out to here. Hit OK. So now I'm just going to use my attach button real quick. Attach. There we go. And there we have it. So in 18 minutes, 19 minutes, we created the basic layout of this house. And always save. This file will be a central model, by the way, because we need it to do many other things. So if using a central model and you are new, what you have to do is press the synchronize button to save it, which saves everything. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go to main floor, and I'm going to lay out some grids really fast. So I'm going to go down here to the architecture tab, lay out some grids. There they are. And then I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to my copy command, or CO shortcut, and I'm just going to make a couple copies here. So there and there. Okay, while I'm at it, just going to make some horizontal ones as well. Okay. One, two, three. So I'm just going to count A, B, C, D, and E. So copy again, and I'm just going to lay those out really fast. Alright, so now that I have laid out some grids, what we're going to do is we're going to use some actual dimensions here. So anything you select in Revit will give you these running or temporary dimensions shown up. But the thing about these is that by default only goes center to center. So if you wanted to measure from the outside face of this wall to the outside edge of that door, you have to put in some real dimensions. So I'm going to go up here to the annotate tab, and I'm going to use align dimensions. First thing I'm going to do is do the grids. So whenever you go to dimension something, if you just click twice, it will make a dimension. So you select one reference, two references, and then you have to click where you want to drop the dimension. Also, if I come down here and make a couple of measurements, drop the dimension. If I select this dimension string, if I go up here to the ribbon, you have this button called Edit Witness Line, so you can add or subtract different segments. So if I hit this button, it wants me to continue on here. So if I click this one, it will remove that dimension from the string. And then if I click a new one, it makes one for me. And then you just click on blank spot when you're done, and there you go. Alright, before we do that, we have to make sure that I have these grid lines in the right spot, so you can see how they're not centered on the wall like they should be. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off my thin lines, shortcut key TL, but what this does is a little button up here on the quick access bar, and what that will do is it essentially just turns off your line weight so you can see things better, because as you notice, it does not regenerate as I zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use the align tool, which is shortcut key AL, Alpha Lima, or I can just kind of select this and then I'll see that tool up here in my ribbon. So I'm going to click the center line of this wall, and then I'm going to click this grid, which will then align it to the center. I'm going to do the same thing for this one, and that one is lined up, and make sure that this one's good, so just repeat that. Alright, so that makes sure that all of my grid lines are centered in the middle for me. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is refer to my drawings and make sure that I have these spaced correctly. So, excuse me, I need some glasses for my glasses. So let's say 5 feet. Okay, 5 feet. So this line is 5. This line is 12. Very good. And this one is 11.6. Alright, so we have those spaced out. Let's go look at our other ones here. 12.6. Nudge these up here real quick. So this one, 12. And then as I am typing in my measurements here, in Revit the default units are feet. So if I just hit 12, enter, that's 12 feet. If I type 12 space 6, that is 12.5 or 12 foot 6 inches. And I can also use a 0.5 if I want to do that. So 8'6". Let's do a 0.5 this time. And 9 feet. And 12 feet. Perfect. Alright, so now I have all of my grid spacing. I'm going to go ahead and hit that sync to central button really fast. So we have the basic shape of things here. I'm going to go back to my roof plan really quick and I'm going to fix my roof locations here. So again, I'm going to use my AL. This grid line is the roof ridge. So I'm going to click this one, and finish that. I'm going to hit attach this time since I know what's going on now. Edit footprint, AL for a line, select grid line, select that. Okay, now I'm going to do the same for the roof location here. And there we go. Okay, there's a couple different ways to build a roof. This is a roof by footprint. You can also do a roof by extrusion. However, let's see if I can do this without. Okay, so if you watch my Revit concept video on datums, you will know that you can pick a work plane or a 3D surface. So what we have to do a roof by extrusion is we have to pick a face that's going to work perpendicularly. So roof level, I'll just leave that as it is. Okay, and I'm sheeting and I'm using the other roof as a guide here. Looks like that is messed up, but we'll fix that later. So I'm just going to use my pick line method since I'm sheeting and I already have a shape here. So a roof by extrusion is you're just going to draw the profile shape and then it just extrudes. So I'm going to grab these guys and I'm going to move them because this is not the right location. Okay, and then I'm going to hit finish. Oh, it's open, so I forgot. We just need one line, no edge pieces, and then the thickness of the roof goes off of the properties. So if we go look at that in 3D, which I am, so this will create one roof instead of two. So I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to isolate this element. So this is the same roof, essentially just one piece. There is a reason why we are doing it in two pieces, which we'll find out later. So I am just going to select this guy and hit delete. And then go back to my side view and fix my roof really fast because it is not aligned. So I'll move that up. There we go. Okay, so to go time So we're going to go back to our main floor here, and we're going to start to lay down some dimensions. So I'm going to go over here to annotate. I'm going to go to aligned, and what we're going to do is we're going to just dimension where our doors and windows are. So I'm going to use my tab key, which is tab is cycle selection. So if you have multiple things going on, hitting your tab key will switch the selection. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to measure these things here. Do the same down here. Door, 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 door. And notice how I'm dimensioning to the outside faces here. Tab, tab. Okay. Write it down. Now I'll do the outside. Okay. So I'm just clicking. Tab, tab. Alright, done. Alright, now if we refer to the drawings, I'll just kind of do this side over here first. So if I click the door, you will notice that I can select the string here. So I'm going to go down here, and this is 4'4". The door is supposed to be 3 foot wide. So we can then go down, and I'm just going to change the type to 36. Notice how my dimensions moved here. Grab this 4'4", boom, 3 foot, and then we have a 6 foot where this slider is. Bam, 6 foot. This sliding door is 14 feet. That is correct. And then we have another window that I forgot. So we're gonna grab this window over here. We're just gonna right click and say create similar, and then we can place it here. Okay, so now since I didn't get this dimension in here, I'm gonna go back to edit witness line, and I'm going to add 2 clicks. Once your drawing starts to get a little cluttered, we can increase the scale by going down here and clicking on the scale at the bottom left of the window. So change that to 1/4. And then once you're out of SD and into DB and you're starting to get more detailed, you want to change your detail level here to medium. You always want to shoot for medium because fine is it requires a lot of computer juice, and also you only want to turn it on fine for certain things. Certain things won't show up at all in the view if you don't use fine, like conduits, for instance. And coarse is sort of a special one that we only use for SD because you can override the graphics, and we only use it for like SD views. Okay, so now I clean that up a little bit. Let me go back down here. So 4'10" side of this window, 4'10", bang, and then the gap is 5'9". Okay, but this window needs to be 5 feet. Okay, so if I go into my window types here, my fixed window, which is 29 by 24, is not the right size. So what I'm going to do here, if I hit edit type, if I just go into edit type and I change the sizes of it, and I hit OK. So what that did, you'll notice that this is 29 inches by 24. So I just changed the size of this. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to duplicate it, and then this is a 5 by 4, I believe. We'll double check the height later. But then I changed the height and the width to match, and now this is a 5 by 4 fixed window. Okay, so again, now that I fixed that, go back down here and change my spacing. And boom. That's technically not correct. Something is weird, but we're going to go on. Alright, so back down to this window. So this window is 2'6". You'll notice that since I changed the size, all of them is wrong. So I'm going to come down here, duplicate it. This is 30 inches. And we're just going to call this 4 feet or whatever, because I don't know yet. So 30 inches on the width and 4 foot. Okay. Alright, and this number looks like it's 2.2-ish. Okay, so then that one is good. So now what we're going to do is we have to put in 2 more windows on this side. So I'm going to grab this, and now I'm just going to use my copy command. So copy, copy, and again have to do the dimension thing. So select the string and select these. Boom, 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 and done. Okay, so now this window is 5 feet. Change that one to a 5-footer. This little window here is 38 inches. I'm just being a little fast here just for the sake of drawing, doing a tutorial, so I've got to go a little fast here. Inches, 4 feet, okay. Okay, there's that window, and then we got a similar one here. Okay, let's pretend these 2 windows are the same. I can use a lovely tool called Match Properties, which the tool's up here somewhere, but I always like to do MA for Match Properties. And then I can just click, and it changes that window. Many different ways to do everything in Revit. And again, this is a 5-footer. Alright. So then we're going to pretend that I went through all of that and I made all of my floor plan dimensions beautiful. Now what we're going to do is create some views that we're going to need. So I'm going to go up here to my View tab, and I'm going to create a section. So by creating a section, you just click twice, and there you have it. This little dash line is the extents of it. So if I leave it here, it's not going to include the rest of the building. And then wherever this line is where it's going to cut. So if I just double click that, and I'm going to turn this back to medium and turn off my thin line so you can see that. So you can see that this is being cut. Alright, so back to my plan. Now what we're going to do is add some elevations. If you open a file from scratch, your elevations are already there, but I wanted to show you how to do this from scratch. So if I activate an elevation, and we also have different types of elevations here, so I'll do go ahead elevation. And then I'm just going to, if you hover around, you notice that the elevation is pointing towards it. So I'm just going to click on these different locations here, just being super fast. So when I select the elevation, if you click once on the pointer here, it will give you, it will show you where the theoretically the cut line is, and the dash line for how far you're looking back. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to this elevation, double click on the head to activate it. So here it is. This is the elevation. It looks like all of my windows are lined up properly, but let's just verify. Yep, they're all good. Back to our main floor. Window. Obviously that one is not correct. Change that to a 3 foot. And okay, so that is correct. That is correct. If If we want to be super particular, we can match up our head heights. It's just a tutorial. Alright, so so we could say that we are just past SD, and now we're going to go into DD, and we're going to add some more detail and stuff. So we use generic walls and generic everything that we could use as we do in SD. So what I'm going to do is go to the main floor plan here. Actually, let's just go 3D. I'm going to select my wall, and what I'm going to do is go up here to edit type. So when I open up the edit type, I have some few basic settings here. Do not wrap. Wrapping it ends. So what the wrapping is how when walls go into corners, they will bring the different layers that will connect to each other differently. But what I want to do is go in here. You can also see that we have multiple types of walls. Just again to reiterate, so in Revit you have types. So you have a wall that is a certain type, and then you have an instance which refers to the individual wall. So I have 4 walls, 4 instances, 1 type. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to call this exterior wall, whatever. Let's put 6 inches. I think it's 4 inch, but anyways, hit OK. So now I'm going to go into this structure box, which is a very important box. So in the architectural system families, all of the assemblies all have the same layout. So when I go into this box, it gives me the name of the family, the type, the total thickness, the resistance, and the thermal mass. So it also gives you R values and all that good stuff. So inside of this 2 core boundary lines is the structure, or the core. So what we're going to do is make this accurate here. So 3 5/8. Then we're going to go into and give it a material of stud. I'm just going to type wood here, and wood stain, whatever. So important to use the right one. There is one for wood framing. Doesn't really matter today. Okay, so what I just did was made it wood stained structure. So you also have this preview tab, which you always want to have open when you're setting up new views, and you can change this from a section or a floor plan view. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add more stacks to the wall. So we will have a wood stud layer, we will have substrate, we will have finishes, and any waterproofing or thermal stuff to go with it. So what we're going to do here is hit this insert button, which makes me another stack. Once I go up and I click into this box, it gives me layer modes and layer functions. So next thing I'm going to do is hit substrate. Okay, so then what I have to do is I have to move these up and down, and you will notice that we have an exterior side up here and an interior side, so that just kind of tells you which one is inside. And then I have to give it a thickness, so 5/8 inch, and boom. So you'll see that I just added a piece of plywood to that. Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to add another one, which will also be substrate, and I need to move this one down. Okay, so the only things you want to keep in your core boundary are the sort of structural part of the wall. So if it's a CMU wall, I would put my CMU inside the core boundary. If it's a steel frame, it would be a steel stud instead of wood. But these things are just basic. Give it the actual real life measurement. So boom, boom. Now I'm going to add a finish. So come down here to finish, and we'll just give this one a 0.125 inch, and finish here. So this is down. Okay, so that is the finish, and then you come in here and whatever material that you have there. So we'll just do siding. So we got the siding baton. So basically, it doesn't really matter what it is for today. We'll just call it brick, but that is not the right size. So we will do about 8 inches. Okay, so this is, you know what? I'm gonna undo that because it's just too thick. And then we're just going to pick white wood. It's a clad white. The only reason you need to be particular about your materials at this point is because they have thermal properties, and if you're rendering, they will hold a material. So insert again, and now on the yes, I am putting these in the wrong order, and let's see, finish, up, finish, substrate, change this to finish, and then this one is going to be gyp, and 5 by 8 inch. Okay, so substrate, we just need to add wood sheathing. Alright, so now we have a total thickness of 5 5/8 inch. We have an R value and all that good stuff. I can see this in here. Technically, if you accidentally get it messed up and do it backwards, no big deal. You can always flip the wall inside out. Okay. Alright, so turn on the shade, see where we're at. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, if we go back to our main floor plan, here is the wall I'm messing with. Okay, what I was talking about earlier, if you grab this wall here, turn off the thin lines, you can see that my walls are inside out. So I'm going to hit this button to move them inside out. Let me go back really fast. Okay, so the walls have a location line. So what this means is when I draw the line, or when I draw the wall, if you have it on wall center line, it's always going by center. Then you can do core center line, which means it's in the center of your structural core face exterior, yada yada. If I just do a wall center line here and I flip that, the walls is going to flip on the center. So you saw it earlier where it flipped with a gap because I had that set to a different number. Okay, so I'm going to select this other wall. I'm going to hit select all instances, visible view, and I'm going to change this to our exterior wall 4 inch. And for right now, in the terms of actual construction, your location line doesn't really matter, but so you can change this at any time here. So I am going to grab this wall. You can also right click and say change wall orientation, which will flip that, change wall orientation. These wall location lines are also important if you like to draw clockwise versus counterclockwise. So if I go like this, that location line will vary on your numbers because you're going in clockwise versus counterclockwise, if that makes sense. So count time. Alright, so now we have changed our walls. Next thing we're going to do here is grab our roof. We're going to edit type. Anytime that you're making let's say you're a young intern and you're not really sure of yourself yet, and somebody tells you to go and fix a roof. To be on the safe side, anytime you're creating something, you always want to take the existing one, hit duplicate, and then make a new one. So this will ensure that you're not overwriting things, because you might have 300 roofs that are in a different view or something like that. So same thing again, I'm going to change this, and I'm just going to add some substrates, 5 by 8 inch. I'm going to add some more substrates, 5 by 8 inch. Okay, so this one, substrate. And remember, you always have to have everything outside of the core boundary. You can get away with that in the terms of Revit will let you, but if you're doing any structural calculations or anything like that, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, so insert, do finish, and just asphalt shingles, and yeah, it looks good. Substrate, what the heck, we'll do some finish. Notice how we have two numbers for finish, so one would be the outside number and one would be the inside. It's just a number to help you keep organized. And okay, boom, good to go. So there is our roof. We want to make sure that we select both sides of the roof here. Computer's being a little slow. I'm going to use my match properties again. Alright, so there we go. So, next thing we're going to do, so we did a roof, oh, we forgot a floor, so edit type, floor, insert. Notice how you get a little faster at this when you do it. So 5 inch for substrate, and add some finish. Add some finish there. Wood. You can make new materials, but that'll be covered in another video that I will have. So we'll just do slash remember. Okay, so boom, done. Yep, good. There's stuff that remained, but that's okay. Let's do a quick save. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some columns. That will be for our porch columns. So I'm going to go back to my main floor here. Go to structure, column. And then I'm going to use my 4x4 column. So you have to be careful when you're laying columns, because by default Revit always puts the columns upside down. It's very annoying, but if you go up here before you click here, so you want to change this to main floor, and then it will say, oh, that's not right. So height roof, okay, so let's see if this works. So what I'm going to do here is put a column at each intersection here on the grid. If you have grids, the columns are very nice, because you'll see I can also press this button that will automatically put the grids at grid line put the column at grid line intersections. Let's look at that 3D, make sure that's okay. Also, what you can do is if I grab this column, I can also attach the column to the roof. So attach. So this will basically just attach the column to the roof. You can also do a manual offset, so if I do a top offset or whatever, I can get them to move up. Okay, so that's beautiful, right? Alright, so let's now what we shall do is let's try to, nope, let's not do that because I'm getting into my structure already. Let's go verify that these windows are in the correct orientation. Just going to click this window and I'm going to say flip facing. Okay, so that's on the inside, so that was correct. Alright, we'll make sure my thing is correct. One thing I forgot to do is we have a little bump out here that's on the drawings, and this window is not correct. Of course, there's a dimension on this window. Let's 4, and this window is, of course, I didn't put a dimension on there. Bad architect. Alright, so I'm just going to come off this window over here. Okay, and then we have a little bump out here, which is a little shelf thing in the fireplace. So I'm going to go down here and create similar, and I'm just going to do a very quick and dirty bump out here, and then I'm going to come along and annotate it. So you have to be careful when you are dimensioning with all of your layers engaged. It can be a problem that you have too much detail and that will just drive you nuts. So what I'm doing is I'm just dimensioning to the inside of the structural core here, and come back. Okay, so this is, we need view number 3. Oh, come on now. Getting close to my time limit. Okay, so detail number 3. There we are. So it looks like it's center line 4 foot 4 and 3/8. So on this dimension, I have to come down here and I have to, so I'm going to move this dimension by grabbing the center point there, slapping it there, and then these are 4 foot 4 dimension and 1 foot 4 from the inside. Okay. So I'm just following the drawings here, not too hard, and boom, there we go. And so this basically is a little notch here. So now what I'm going to do is trim this out. So my favorite tool in all of Revit is trim and extend. So if I select this wall, you'll see the trim and extend, or TR, which is my favorite. So if I come down here and I try to trim this wall, what's going to happen is going to yell at me because I just deleted the other half of the wall. So what you need to do is use your split element tool and you just trim this wall here. And then you can come in with your trim tool and trim this out. Okay, so now we need to go and look at this because my roof now needs to expand, so I'm just going to nudge that out really fast. Attach. Okay, and this guy has to match, so align tool again. Okay, and then technically this will be 1 foot overhang, so just grab this, bam, and now edit this footprint, align this one, that one, and boom. Alright, so In 60 minutes, we have managed to create an entire architectural model following the design. So we have all of our windows or doors, we have columns or grid lines. We saw how to take a basic wall, add wall stacks to that layer, how to add materials. We will go into all of these little subjects throughout my different tutorial series. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and look forward to teaching you another one. Have a good one.
Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to subscribe and like and that notification thing and whatever YouTube stuff you guys do. Have a good one.